is broke, financial crisis. Why are they broke? Well, they helped out in the American Revolution. They gave us soldiers, that cost money. They gave us weapons, that cost money. They fought against England, that cost money. They're in debt. And then to add to that, the king and queen don't seem to be in touch with the lives of their people. They live extravagantly while their people are struggling vastly. And Louis XVI knows something needs to change, so he proposes we tax the first and second estates, the clergy and the nobles, to deal with this financial crisis. He calls the Estates General into session. Now, keep in mind, they've been getting paid, but have not met for 200 years. I can't comprehend in America. America, is a little over 200 years old. Having a government that doesn't meet for that long, it's an old country. And normally all three estates had an equal vote. You can see the problem with that because they are 1%, 2%, and 97% of the population. So really, the third estate should have more of a vote, but they hadn't. Which group was the majority? Answer it. The third estate. What would the third estate want? They would want basically a percentage vote, where a percentage representation, where maybe they get 97 representatives and the other groups get 1 and 2. They at least want more than one vote. Louis XVI makes a mistake. So the king wants to vote by estate. Once again, this favors the first and second estates because they can always outvote the third estate. They can basically silence the voice of the third estate, having just a vote of just 3. The third estate refuses, and they're locked out of the meeting place. The third estate says, we're still going to meet, so they meet on a tennis court. They swear the tennis court oath. This is going to be beginning the French Revolution. And it seems kind of like standing for the people and kind of innocent at the time, but there are so many people who are so angry. And also the fact that the writers have really been encouraging people to rebel means that terrible violence is going to come after this. But it begins with a tennis court oath, and the people promise we will not leave this tennis court until we have written a new constitution for France. Louis XVI really then should have pacified these disgruntled citizens, but he makes a mistake again. He calls the troops to put down this revolt. And keep in mind, this revolt is just people meeting on a tennis court and not leaving. And the third estate answers the violence with violence, the weapons with their own weapons, which are just everyday things they have around them. The first violence is the storming of the Bastille. So the Bastille is the prison in the center of the city. And criminals, like bad criminals, like murderers and stuff, are held there. But also criminals who just, maybe spoke against the government, couldn't pay their debts. So people also have family members in this prison who really have done no violence to anyone else. So the people storm this prison, and brick by brick, they take it apart. And they take the gunpowder, and the prisoners are free. And so now you've kind of got this mob mentality because you've weaponized the third estate, and you've also added a combination of debtors and criminals and underfed and people with diseases and all, they're in the city. The city is just writhing with unrest, and great fear sweeps the countryside. Then the National Assembly takes power, starting to reform society. This is kind of a government by mob and by fear. They're going to take the king and queen out of the palace by force and vandalize the palace, threaten their lives, kill some people, threaten to kill others. Phase 1 is the National Assembly. The National Assembly writes a new constitution which limits the power of the king. They had sworn to do this on the tennis court. What type of government is this? We can talk about that later. But it is a limited monarchy because they're limiting the king. And it's also, to a certain extent, a representative democracy because the people are being represented. Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette try to escape France, but they're caught and put under house arrest. They really should have escaped, but they almost got through, but then a guard at the end figured out it was the king.